Hey, it's Cassidy, your friendly internet tired writer here, and welcome to another video. So I saw Endgame, I think opening night or second night, and it was incredible. People were cheering, people had collective reactions. It was an amazing experience, and one of my favorite experiences when it comes to movies. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 was not like that. I saw it on opening night, but there was like no one in the theater. A reminder that yeah, people don't care anymore. It feels like the MCU we once knew and loved is over. And I guess I'm still holding on to hope that it'll get better. I don't know if my hope has been restored or completely killed because Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is a really good movie, which sucks because James Gunn, the man who wrote and directed it, is leaving. But I can't do anything about that. What I can do is hopefully convince you people to go watch this movie because it's actually a good movie and we need to show Marvel that, hey, this is the kind of movie you need to be making. Because man, this movie showed me just how much I want Marvel to make good movies again.
I formed the Guardians.
The plot to Volume 3 is straightforward and simple, which I know isn't everyone's cup of tea, but I love it, and it allows for a lot of exploration of the characters. Volume 3 felt more character-driven and was one of the most emotionally rich Marvel movies, period. I mean, we get some of the best character work in the MCU in this movie. The Guardians, their relationships with each other, and their relationships with themselves and their own journeys really are the focus of this movie. The Guardians are a bit of a mess. I mean, forget what you saw of them in Thor: Love and Thunder. In fact, just forget you saw that entire movie. It'll cure your depression. Obviously, I'm going to favor the Guardians in this movie because it's their movie. But we really feel the repercussions of Infinity War and Endgame, and I like that that is something Marvel has managed to do, is sprinkling consequences and aftershocks of the events of Endgame. Peter, aka Star-Lord, is affected by losing Gamora, and the Guardians are affected by him being affected because he's their leader. Each main character has an arc in this movie, except for Groot, but he's Groot, so doesn't count. And after what has felt like many movies and TV shows where characters do not change, and if they do, it's in bad ways. That's a professional critic term, you wouldn't get it. It felt like we finally have a movie where characters actually grow in realistic and honestly kind of bittersweet ways. The character work in this movie is just... The simplicity of the plot allows for exploration of the characters, which is good because the characters are the most important and best part of the MCU. By having a simple plot, it allows the characters to be complex.
Whoever it was that you were in love with, it sounds more like her.
I don't have much to say about Gamora because I can't really treat her like a character I've been watching for many movies like I can with the other Guardians. This Gamora is a new character. She is a different version of the Gamora we know from the Infinity Saga. The movie didn't really treat her like a new character though, which is interesting because we the audience perceive this new Gamora the way the characters are perceiving her, as a version of someone we knew and will never get back. Her dynamics with the Guardians are interesting. She is very reminiscent of the old Gamora, but angrier? She's similar enough for there to be hope that we could get the old Gamora back somehow, some way, through Marvel magic and quantum mechanics, but still different enough that it's clear she's her own character.
Kill one guy, one stupid guy who no one loves.
I'll be honest, Drax, while a great comic relief and an entertaining character and a character I like, was kind of a disappointment. Not in this movie, but just the way his character has been written. His name's Drax the Destroyer and he's just a silly character. Like, he's not that threatening. He's kind of made to be a joke. And I didn't like that choice, and he was my least favorite Guardian because of it. Now, while he didn't magically become my favorite character ever, I do really like what this movie did with the character that he has become in the MCU, and makes me less disappointed in how he's been portrayed because it ends very nicely.
Knock it off!
What?
Nebula has never been my favorite character, but she is a very interesting character. This movie really made me realize how much thought and effort was put into her arc. At some point in the MCU, I don't remember which movie,
You were the one who wanted to win, and I just wanted a sister!
in this movie, Nebula is doing everything she can to save Rocket and keep the Guardians alive. They have become her family, and she doesn't want to lose them. She never had one when she was growing up, and so now she has one, and she's not gonna let it be ripped apart. We see the growth in her character. Yes, she still has her anger issues, but she's not even denying the fact that she wants a family. Her character arc is complete. I am Groot.
I'm done running.
We find out Rocket's backstory in this movie, which is, sad, disturbing, to say the least. I watched this movie twice, and the first time, it was honestly kind of hard to watch. The second time was easier to watch, I think just because the shock wore off. But I was very pleased that the emotional moments of his backstory still managed to hit. It still had impact, and as much impact as the first viewing. I was just not as shocked. So there wasn't that, like, oh, factor. It was more just a factor.
Beautiful sky.
One of Rocket's biggest flaws is probably his avoidance of problems. He likes to cause trouble, doesn't like to deal with the consequences of that trouble. If there's danger, he doesn't want to run headfirst into it. He will if spurred on by others, but really he just wants to get out of there. In this movie, he's done running.
I'm done running.
He faces his problems head on, and it's not because the others tell him to or convince him to. It's his decision. Another character arc complete.
I'm Star-Lord.
Peter is pretty torn up about Gamora's death, and he spends part of the movie trying to win her over somehow, trying to get what he had with the old Gamora back, but he realizes he can't. He has a conversation earlier in the movie about the people in his life who have died, while ignoring the people who are currently in his life, including his grandpa, who is probably still alive on Earth. I think saving Rocket and keeping the Guardians alive shows him that the people who are in his life, the people who are still alive, are just as important as those who have died, maybe more so because they're still here. Peter decides to temporarily, or it was a little unclear, but leave the Guardians and return to Earth and spend some time with his grandpa instead of running from the past that broke him. He's a loved one who is still alive, who Peter can get to know. Funny enough, Peter and Rocket actually have pretty similar arcs and similar endings to their arcs. Rocket stops running from his past and problems and faces them head on by confronting the High Evolutionary. Peter stops running from his past and decides to live in the world that his mom died in, that reminds him of his mom's death. Even though this isn't the last we're going to see of Peter, I think it does wrap up this part of his story quite well. And if it was the last movie we'd ever see him in, I would be sad, but it is a fitting end to his character arc.
Mantis!
Oh no.
Poor Mantis, she was just trying to keep everyone together in this movie. I really like how the movie ends her arc, because as someone with empathic powers, she was always inside people's minds, manipulating their emotions if needed, even helping people sleep. Like, she was always taking care of other people's psyches, and she never got to kind of discover her own. Like, she never had any self-discovery. And in this movie, it ends with her deciding, no, I need to discover who I am, and she leaves the Guardians. Instead of crawling around other people's heads, she needs to discover what's inside her own. Adam Warlock was probably my biggest disappointment with this movie. I don't know how Adam is portrayed in the comics, but I was not expecting another joke character. Another quirky, funny, kind of stupid character. He kind of got the Drax treatment, actually. Someone who's supposed to be really threatening and intimidating and just became a joke. I mean, don't get me wrong, he is a threat, but he's not intimidating, and the movie manages to nerf the intimidation factor. I just thought I was gonna get a serious character. I don't know why I expect anything like that from Marvel. He did entertain me, but as far as his actual character goes, I could take it or leave it.
I'm not trying to conquer the universe. I'm perfecting it.
The villain of this movie is the High Evolutionary. I'm not going to say too much about him because I kind of want you to experience him for yourself. I will say that the actor did a phenomenal job. The High Evolutionary is a very effective villain, and he brings what no other character has to the MCU, at least to this degree, a genuinely dark and disturbing story. He is messed up, man, like messed up. The things he does was honestly hard to watch at times. The High Evolutionary genuinely makes this the most disturbing Marvel project yet. I will say, beyond his connection to a certain character, he is not very developed. I do tend to have an issue with that because I think that a character, no matter their role, should be able to stand by themselves, like without affiliation with other characters. But I actually didn't mind it with the High Evolutionary because he was so effective. He is a legitimate threat. His motivation is left ambiguous, but the movie gives the audience enough information that you can kind of understand what's going through the dude's head without there being any actual information about what's going on in his head. Like, I do think ambiguity can be more interesting than just black and white, you know exactly what happened. Like, I didn't really need to know Rocket's backstory. I was fine with that being left ambiguous. I thought it gave some mystery to the character. But now I know. And I'm sad. Based off the performance, the effect he has on the characters and the world, and the disturbing factor, I would rank the High Evolutionary near the top of my MCU villains tier list.
So what should we do next?
The characters are both the weakest and strongest links of the MCU. They are tearing the franchise apart while being the only thing that makes fans stay. Marvel's worst movies are made bearable because of their characters. Thor: The Dark World is made watchable because it has Thor and Loki. It explores their relationship and their individual characters are some of the best parts of Marvel. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 has some of the best character work of the MCU. It takes characters we already care about and explore them further. All of the Guardians grow in this movie. This movie understands that the strong point is the characters. It makes for a rich story, and because it's so character driven, when there are action scenes, they don't feel so empty. The moments with heavier plot focus and action focus felt more earned and important.
And I thought maybe it would come off like Bugs Bunny in the middle of the Avengers.
James Gunn is probably one of, if not the best writers and directors in the MCU. And he's leaving. It feels like he's one of the only directors who can make a movie that is Marvel but different. Like, he keeps things interesting and fresh in a way that a lot of other directors in the MCU have not been able to do. I mean, he even understands that there needs to be a balance between comedy and drama, something Taika Waititi certainly doesn't understand. Volume 3 was funny, but it wasn't too funny. You know how Marvel movies have become too funny? Yeah, this one isn't. It was emotional, but not in a false "are you crying yet?" type of way. It was just genuinely emotional because you cared about the characters. I don't think James Gunn leaving means the MCU is doomed. The most important thing is to just hire people who can create rich characters that people will care about, not force likability with quirkiness and wittiness. Likability is not emotional investment.
It's the end of the road, Guardians.
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is definitely a Marvel movie, but it felt different. It let the characters be the focus. It explored dark and disturbing themes and didn't quit on them prematurely. It had a good balance of comedy and drama. It was just a really good movie. This movie shows that Marvel still has amazing characters that they can create good stories from. Because man, when the characters hit, they hit hard. And I'm not talking about in fight scenes. I'm talking about my feels. I really hope this video convinced you to go watch Volume 3 because this is the kind of movie Marvel needs to be making. Good movies. The MCU is a sinking ship, but there's a bunch of lifeboats. Let the bad stuff sink save all the good stuff. I am very strict when it comes to canon, but I won't be mad if you just moved on and pretend that characters like Captain Marvel and She-Hulk and Ironheart and Eros and the entirety of Quantum Mania just never happened. Maybe the MCU needs a flashpoint. I'm done ranting now. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. Another reminder, this is all my opinion. I am not an expert in anything, but I am an author, so I like to think I'm a little bit knowledgeable. I'm also definitely correct in everything I say. My opinions are fact. Now for some self-promo. I wrote 5 books. Before I Turn 18 is a literary anthology about the transition from adolescence to adulthood. It is an existential crisis in a book. We Shall Reap is a standalone fantasy. It is about a group of people who have to find this ancient power that will hopefully save a nation from famine, and for a couple other reasons that may or may not cause chaos. It is set in the same world as the Mortal's End trilogy. This is a fantasy trilogy I wrote when I was 13, 14, and 15. It is about a war. There is a sorceress, there is magic, there is a dragon. If any of these books interest you, they are available on Amazon. There is a link in the description below. It's cold. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.